ICE raids have been happening all across America. We got another story here from Wall Street Journal. Trump's immigration battle on sanctuary cities. And this hits close to home. I wish I had the clip and it wasn't so fuzzy, but I was driving in my neighborhood. I'm 20 miles outside of Boston. And I was just driving down the street. We live in a small town. And we saw a car pulled over at a car wash and just cops, the SWAT gear, the tactical gear, the faces covered and whatnot. There was an ICE raid in my little town. I couldn't believe it. And some of the locals didn't even want to talk about it on social media. I tried to share a headline from another city paper, a local paper. People didn't want to talk about it online. It was crazy. But yeah, this is hitting home. It's pretty crazy. So I want to see what they have to say now that I've seen it with my own eyes in a small town, not in a city. So let's get into it.
ICE raids taking place in the Bronx.
Chicagoans are bracing for ICE agents.
An immigration raid in Philadelphia.
The Trump administration is cracking down on sanctuary cities.
We're hitting every sanctuary city right now.
The deportations we're seeing are part of restoring integrity to the immigration system.
These cities have challenged federal immigration enforcement for years, and Trump sees them as an obstacle to his mass deportation plans.
We are getting them out and getting them out fast.
Our jurisdictions are not harboring criminals.
I think we never quite know what to expect might happen. There has been some enforcement on the ground here.
Here's how sanctuary cities work and whether Trump has the...
Mayor Wu, Ash Wednesday. She was in Congress talking about how everything is safe and fine. Days after a raid in my neighborhood. That's insane. This lady's insane. The only one that was trying anything to actually fix anything was what's his name, from New York. And, they got a whole bunch of money for that. There's a whole other problems with that. In Boston, it's like, I can't believe it. Let's move on.
The authority to end them entirely.
Actually, yeah, Mayor Wu's now they're all under investigation, I believe.
Denver Mayor Mike Johnston became a target of the Trump administration for his opposition to its mass deportation agenda.
Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that.
Lie.
Mayor of Denver, willing to go to jail. Defense of sanctuary city policy. The list goes on.
If there are things that the government are doing that are unconstitutional or un-American that I think violate my values and our city's values, I think people would protest and I would join them.
Just hours after taking office, Trump signed an executive order that threatened to withhold federal funding to any sanctuary jurisdictions that seek to interfere with the lawful exercise of federal law enforcement operations. There's no one-size-fits-all definition of a sanctuary city. Roughly a dozen states and hundreds of cities.
Dozens of states and hundreds of cities. What I hate about this is, you look at the state that you're in and the whole state is a sanctuary state, but there's so many counties and towns that are completely against it. I don't get it. I don't get how they think they can just get away with this. The thing is too, is you'll have people I'm in New England. So in New England, in just a few hours, you can hit 6 or 7 states in, a 5-hour drive, 6 hours. You could literally go through Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, through New York, back to Massachusetts, Connecticut, into Rhode Island, or down to Jersey or Pennsylvania. It just before your workday is over.
Cities and counties across the U.S. are designated sanctuary jurisdictions with policies that limit their cooperation with federal
And another thing, if you just look at that little spot down in New York, you have that sanctuary city. Okay, there's 2 sanctuary cities in New York, and then sanctuary counties, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bordering sanctuary states. Think of how many people here. If you're wanted, or if they're on to you in Massachusetts, you can go easily to New York, and then you can go upstate Vermont, where there's nobody. You could upstate Vermont, or even upstate New York, where it's more rural. It's a small town. You can work cash, you can put a lot of people in that area, and they can just move around freely wherever the heck they want, You can run all the way down from the tip of Vermont all the way down to, it looks like, all those counties in Virginia. And then there you got some counties down in the Carolinas. You got a whole map, like Carolinas, that's 12-hour drive, something like that, maybe 11 hours. That's in one day. You could literally be halfway down the coast. It's insane. It's insane how one state lets this go. Like you could, because you can move just as freely as anyone else. Anyway.
Immigration officials, according to the Center for Immigration Studies, a think tank that advocates for stronger border enforcement.
Sanctuary cities represent a kind of nullification movement, an attempt to pick and choose what laws can be enforced.
What the Trump administration is trying to do is to commandeer our local law enforcement forces for their purposes.
That's San Francisco City Attorney David Chu, who is suing the Trump administration over its executive order.
Trump should sue them for all the bathroom maps that they have. Have you seen those? They have apps in these cities where it shows where a homeless person is taking a poop in the street. Google it. You don't believe it? Google it. It's real.
San Francisco successfully defended its sanctuary policies during the first Trump administration.
ICE agents can enforce laws within the boundaries of San Francisco. There is nothing in our sanctuary policies that prevent the lawful enforcement of federal immigration law.
Trump's border czar sees it another way.
Look, sanctuary cities are a sanctuary for criminals.
What sanctuary jurisdictions do is not cooperate.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, primarily uses what's called a detainer to apprehend someone for deportation who has been arrested by local law enforcement. The agency asks police departments to maintain custody of them for up to 48 hours, and then alert them when authorities plan to release that person so ICE can pick them up. A detainer is a request, and it's common for sanctuary cities to not comply.
What they do is not communicate to ICE subsequent information like this guy's going to be released Tuesday at 2 o'clock.
Like I said, let's say you do that in that county in New York, you get released. Not in the city, upstate New York. In 5 or 6 hours, him and a whole bunch of people could pile into a van or an SUV and be in a completely different place in a rural county, doing whatever they want, wherever they please. It just, in half a day, before you're even onto it, they're gone. And then the next day, they could go halfway across the country. It takes about 2 days, 2.5 days to 3 days, depending on if you white knuckle it, to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. And if you're on the run, I'm sure you'll white knuckle it and you can get there pretty quickly.
We provide the fingerprints of all of our inmates over to the Trump administration. If they have a lawful reason to want to detain someone, they can simply provide us with a criminal warrant or court order.
Some cities like Denver meet ICE's requests halfway.
Sometimes ICE will call or write and say, would you please hold Mike for another 7 days because we're coming to get them next week. Under state law, we don't honor that kind of detainer request because we can't hold them beyond their sentence date. If they want to inquire about Mike, we can say we're releasing Mike this Friday at 2 o'clock.
The Department of Homeland Security reported in late February that ICE arrested more than 20,000 migrants living in the U.S. illegally in the first month of the Trump administration. That's more than double the average number of arrests made each month under President Joe Biden in fiscal year 2024.
ICE is raiding the neighbors.
The White House vowed to focus on immigrants with criminal backgrounds, although anyone in the country illegally during an arrest would be taken too.
Those are literally the dudes I saw in my neighborhood as I'm driving down the street with my kids. Everyone was driving through that. It was a busy intersection. Everyone had their phones out and whatnot. This is exactly what I saw with the masks on and whatnot. Crazy.
Trump also tossed out a long-standing directive that prevented federal agents from making arrests at churches and other sensitive areas, such as hospitals and schools.
The problem with the sensitive jurisdictions policy under Biden was that, in effect, it prevented ICE from doing anything anywhere.
You can't have a safe city if folks are afraid to go to the hospital. We don't want to see what's happened in other cities previously where kids stop coming to school because they're afraid their parents will get picked up out front of the school pickup line.
Even if Trump wanted to put an end to sanctuary jurisdictions, like he said during a January interview on Fox,
we're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to end them, and a lot of the people in those communities don't want them.
the federal government's ability to interfere with state and local level policies is limited.
Even Congress can't just pass a law and say, from now on, there will be no sanctuary cities. This is one of those areas where there's kind of a balance between federal and state authority.
The Trump administration is preparing to take sanctuary cities to court again.
New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens.
There is like a states' rights issue where they're like not holding people, but if they're violating federal law, like this is going to wind up in the Supreme Court. The one thing that the federal government could do is just operate faster, which is hard to do. Like if they're releasing someone, if a state isn't cooperating and they're giving you a notice and you only have 3 days, whatever state that just was that didn't honor the 7-day request, and they only give you like 2 days, well, the feds got to get there in 2 days. They just got to get there. That's the quickest solution outside of the courts is you have to be more nimble. How do you do that? How do you do that in 50 states across the country and you're trying to get to one little county? How do you do that? That's tough, especially if it's a bigger state where there's a lot of real estate and it's hard to get around, or you got to travel a lot. That's a lot of expenditure, but we have to do it. In my opinion, we have to do it. I mean, if you have a different opinion, let me know down in the comments below. That's fine. I'll hear you out. I'll smash the like button. You can smash the like button. You can share it with a friend if you agree with me and troll them, or if you disagree, share it with a friend and let them tear me apart in the comments. I don't care. Moving on.
It stops today.
The Trump administration is way more organized this time than last time. They're more prepared for the pushback.
I mean,
yes, I've never seen so many things done. He's only been in, it is, what is it, the 9th? March 9th. He's been in like 2.5 months. I can't even keep up with these stories. I could shoot 10 segments a day. I would have to shoot 10 segments a day, every single day, to almost keep up. There's a 70 or 8-year-old man running circles. Think about this. This 78-year-old man running circles around you right now. He's running circles around you. Millions of you, just like in me. He's running circles. Like if you're bored at your job and you don't know, like you don't like what you're doing, or you think you're working too hard, there's a 78-year-old man running circles around you right now with a far more stressful job. Think about that.
I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Denver, but we're going to go and we're going to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, if you don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
We are preparing for potential increased ICE activity here. We've made sure people know their rights, know how to respond.
What unfolds in Denver could be a sign of things to come for the rest of America.
Enforcement on people that are here, working jobs, in school, taking care of their families, posing no public safety risk to us. That's what we've been worried about, and we're pleased that to date we haven't seen really massive disruptions like that, but
Well, it's coming. A lot of those jobs, you know what, kids out of high school could do, and probably should do. I said that in another video the other day. It was, I don't know, it was a complete mess, so... thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, share, comment. Buy some stuff down in my affiliate links in the description below. And make sure you watch the next video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for hanging out.